Welcome back, everyone, or I'm welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, kings, queens, prime ministers. I would like to encourage all of you, you saw those beautiful photographs, I'd encourage all of you to find our booth and make your own gift before the night is out. Now, I would like to introduce you to a really remarkable man called Casey Neistat. Now, he may look like a moderately unsuccessful boxer, but he is a great example of exactly what we're talking about tonight, which is the journey from your own life to realizing that you can do something to change other people's lives. And that's what this evening is all about. He's an extraordinary filmmaker. My favorite film of his was one where he was paid a substantial amount of money by Nike to make a film on the subject of Make It Count. So what he did was he took all the money and traveled all the way around the world with a friend of his and then just handed in to Nike the film of his trip, saying that it showed what making it count really stood for. So he's a blazing, no hostage-taking, excellent, youngish man. Ladies and gentlemen, Casey Neistat's going to tell you about his trip through life.
Is the moderately successful boxer comment a compliment, or was that a dig, Richard? Because I feel like if I did box, I'd be really good at it. When I was asked here tonight, I asked what I should talk about, and I was asked to tell a story. So why don't I start by sharing a little of my own story. I was born, I'm from about 2 hours from here, lower middle class town. Good childhood, but I was a bad kid, really bad kid, every parent's worst nightmare. And I can say that now as a father of two. When I was 15 years old, I left home. I ran away from home, and about a year later, I found myself living in a trailer park. I was a father. I had a newborn baby boy, and I was on welfare, receiving a check, milk, and diapers from the state to support my young family. A couple years later, I maxed out my credit cards, and I bought a computer. And for the first time in my life, I found my voice in making videos, in making short videos. And that tool of making videos, that way of communicating what only had existed up until then in my mind, has taken me on all kinds of journeys in life. One of my earliest, most successful films when I was about 20 years old was about my iPod when it died, one of the first generation iPods. And the battery, Apple refused to replace it, so I made a little video about that went absolutely viral, ultimately having Apple change their policy. Steve Jobs, by the way, emailed me saying he was going to change it anyways. It wasn't my video. We'll never know. It took me to having a show on HBO that I wrote and filmed and made by myself, and my brother and I, it was just the two of us, and all kinds of incredible journeys. Especially the journey Richard was saying, that Nike project. And the thing about that film that I made for Nike is it went viral. It was 20 million people saw it, and the word that was used the most to describe it was about inspiration. And because of that, for the years that succeeded that movie coming out, I had brands and companies from all over the world calling me saying, make something inspiring for us. And I never knew what that meant. And one such company was 20th Century Fox. They contacted me a few years ago. They said, hey, do for us what you did for Nike. Here's a budget. Here's $25,000. And I said, I can do whatever I want. They said, well, do whatever you want. So 3 days prior to that, Typhoon Haiyan had ravaged the Philippines, had absolutely devastated the Tacloban region in the Philippines. So what I did is I took their money and I flew over there with a friend, and he and I did a two-man relief mission. Ultimately, boots on the ground, we were there before the NGOs, and we distributed enough food and rice and medical supplies to support 1,200 families. And we handed in a movie of us going there on a relief mission. And 20th Century Fox saw it, and they said, you don't even mention the movie you're supposed to be promoting in this video. But Ben Stiller saw it, and he liked it, and we published that, and it went hugely viral. Millions and millions of people watched that movie, and I learned very quickly that with the right story, people want to hear, people want to learn about these things. I went to Uganda and I distributed morphine to people dying of AIDS, late-stage AIDS, people of AIDS. I made a movie about that. Millions of people watched that. They wanted to know about these things. Earlier this year, my friends Jerome Jar and Wampa Zurita, who were in this room tonight, they called me and they said, do you know about what's taking place in East Africa? There's a terrible drought, and it's manifesting as a famine affecting over 6 million people, and Google it. No one's talking about it. So we made a movie about that, a little movie about that, and we tweeted about that, and Ben Stiller helped us promote that, and we put together a GoFundMe page, and we raised over $2 million for the people of Somalia. And in the first 21 hours of that GoFundMe, we raised $1 million. $1 million in 21 hours. Jerome, who is here tonight, he personally led the mission on the ground in Somalia, distributing the funds, the resources that 2 million plus enabled. And my takeaway from all of this, having last year in 2016, my YouTube channel, my personal YouTube channel, it was viewed over 7 billion with a B, 7 billion minutes. And in the aggregate of that, the thing that I learned is that young people today, the millions that watch that content, the young people today, they want to do good. They want to help. And I find this to be a message and a learning of optimism and one of just, we have a tremendous future ahead of us relying on these young people that I think a lot of people dismiss as disenfranchised. They're not disenfranchised. They want to do good. They want to help others. They just need to be told the right story. Thank you very much.
I think that's such an important message today, the message of optimism, because enormous number of people try and tell you that the world is going to hell in a handcart, but extraordinary positive things are happening. And one of the things that your commitment letter says is to read this amazing document by Bill and Melinda Gates, which points out just how many positive things are happening while we're distracted by the fake news of pessimism. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now moving towards the awards, which will be a cause of great optimism. I'd like to introduce from UNICEF, one of our great partners, a respectable gentleman called Justin Forsyth, and one of the youngest of UNICEF's Goodwill ambassadors, Muzin Amelayan. And I just would like to remind you as he steps on that Justin was young once too. I remember him telling me that when he was in his 20s, he used to go to a supermarket in the UK every Saturday, fill it with South African fruit, take it, get it checked out, and then say, I will not pay for this apartheid blood money, and sprint out of the store without paying. So it's, I hope, a lesson that even when you're old, you can still be young at heart. Ladies and gentlemen, Justin and Mazoon.
Thank you, Richard, for sharing my amateur campaign history. It could have been a scene, I think, from a Mr. Bean movie. But on a serious note, and I'm glad you raised it, the fight against apartheid was a triumph of people power. Millions of brave people in South Africa, some of whom who gave their lives, some of them who gave their freedom, standing up against one of the great evils of our time, and millions of people around the world acting in solidarity. Some of you in this room were part of that struggle. And that is why we are here tonight, to celebrate and recognize people power, how many acts add up to change the world, to deliver on the promises made 2 years ago, the Sustainable Development Goals. The winners tonight of these extraordinary awards are people that are extraordinary people that have done extraordinary things. from the fight against hunger and malnutrition, to helping survivors of violence, to harnessing the power of technology and the private sector to save children's lives, to help make sure that every child has a chance to learn, and also to help fight for ex-combatants to build peace. We won't achieve the global goals without these 5 heroes who we're here to honor tonight, and we thank them. We thank them, we honor them, we celebrate them, but most of all, we hope that they will not only inspire us here tonight, but they'll inspire a whole generation of millions of people to stand up for the global goals, to become goalkeepers. And that's why it's my distinct pleasure also to introduce Mazoon, the youngest ever UNICEF ambassador, a Syrian refugee, an education campaigner, a voice for young people all around the world, to introduce the award ceremony. Mazoon.
Thank you so much, Justin. I would love to say I had the privilege to meet him because it is the first time I meet him, so thank you so much. And first of all, I would love to say thank you so much for this amazing opportunity and to share these amazing moments with amazing people who did remarkable things for their communities and their lives. Actually, I would love to start with you to introduce myself and to tell you a little bit about my story. My name is Mazoon and I'm 19 years old. And I had to flee my home, Syria, when the war began, when our life changed upside down, when we had no choice to stay in Syria, and when we had challenges. Even at the wartime, we had no access to our normal life as it was before. We had no access to our basic needs, like food, access to education, or to live in peace. So after living 2 years in the horrible times of war, my dad just decided to go to live in Jordan to flee our home. And at that time, that was the hardest decision in my life because I didn't want to flee my home and to leave everything behind. To leave my home where I was born, to leave my friends, my relatives, and also my school. I was worried that I cannot continue my studies in a refugee camp because I believe if I lost my education, I would lose everything in my life. But as I said, we had to flee. When we had to flee, my dad just told us, you don't have to bring with you heavy things or things that you don't need. Just you have to bring with you the most importantly things and the things that you need them most. And I said, yes, I'm not going to bring with me anything. But at that moment, when I thought it is the end of my story, I said in myself, I want to carry my books. And I believe those books, they are the weapons who will help me to face the challenges in my life. But also I carried with me my hope to face the new life, which I don't know anything about it. In my journey to refugee camps, and all the words that I had in my mind about my new life, just I was thinking about my education. When I arrived there were many challenges. For example, there was no electricity, there was no internet, and we had to bring water sometimes from a distant place, and to live in tent, and life, it is completely different where I come from. But for me personally, I didn't care about those challenges. Just I was thinking about my education. So I started just to ask people if there is a school. And when I knew that I can continue my studies in a refugee camp in Jordan, it was Za'atari camp, I felt so happy. Even I cannot express how happy I am when I found my education in a refugee camp. Because I realized by education, I can change the difficult situation. Because I believe education is the key to open doors in front of us to make a difference in our lives and to rebuild our countries as well. Because education is the hope, and it is the only thing which keeps us alive, which makes us safer, and which makes us healthier. And the most importantly, it is the thing which gives the future. Education, it is really not only a word that we say, but also education is the thing which gives everything. So when I went first time to school in refugee camp, I felt so great, but also I was shocked and sad at the same time when I saw girls like me, boys like me, children like me, parents in my community who don't believe in education and who think that education is not important. At that moment, I decided to start a campaign to encourage them to go back to school. Because as I consider education is important for me personally, I consider it important for others as well. We need to every child to have education. We don't need just one person to be an educated person. So from there, I started to be an education activist to encourage them to be educated people. And I lived in refugee camps over 3 years, and I did as much as I can to help the children to have access to education. And then I moved, and now I'm living in UK, where I started my new life. And I feel so lucky to go to school and to have access to education. But also it is still 27 million children who cannot go to school and who are out of school due to conflict and war. So they need us, they need our voice. So I haven't forgotten the people who are still living in refugee camps, those who are still suffering to have access to their rights. So from the UK, I did also as much as I can to use my voice. And now I'm so proud, and I cannot even express how proud I am to be the youngest ever Goodwill Ambassador for UNICEF to fight for the right for education. To help every child all over the world to have access to their rights, especially their right of education. Not only for children of my country, but for every child all over the world, because they need us and they need our attention. Those people who lost their rights, they didn't choose actually to live that life when they suffer. Those people, they suffer of things it is not of their making, like conflict, like poverty, and otherwise. So today, I feel great to share these moments with our remarkable winners and those amazing people who are trying to make a difference in their lives. So young people who are really strong in their communities, people who will make a huge difference in the world. And these global goals, this is our goals. And what we would like to see young people with world leaders, with the change makers, all of us together to achieve these goals. So let's start together, let's work together to make our world more peaceful and to have peace and to have access to our rights. All of us are humans and we have the same rights, so all of us, we need to stand together and to raise the voices of each other. Thank you so much for this amazing work. Thank you.
Goalkeepers, please welcome to the stage David Beasley.
In the World Food Program, we're feeding anywhere between 80 to 90 million people on any given day. Crisis all over the world. But our goal is to end world hunger by 2030. But today we're facing more conflict and the possibilities of famine and starvation than any time period since World War II. And that's why, being here tonight, in spite of all the darkness in the world, each one of you, all the darkness in the world can't put out the light of one little match. And in this room are lights and sparks of hope. You saw this young lady, this ambassador for the future, millennials and young people reaching out, striving and starving for humanity to come together, coming together to help starving children. Why, that rises above politics and religious division. Healthy, not hungry. This is what we're here for. Tonight we'll be presenting an award to recognize someone who's gone beyond the norm. It's not about institutions and organizations, it's about the human heart. The human heart is what will change the world. And this human heart has, in fact, made an impact that we all should model. And this award will be given tonight by somebody much nicer than me, who's making a difference. She has been a voice around the world, and I present to you Her Royal Highness, Crown Princess Mary of Denmark.
Well, it's fabulous to be here tonight, and I'm so honored to be able to present this award. The health, dignity, and rights of men, women, children, and adolescents are the cornerstones of our societies. Gender inequality is a major cause and effect of hunger and poverty. It is estimated that 60% of the world's chronically hungry people are women and girls, and 1 in 5 are children under the age of 5. I strongly believe that achieving gender equality will be one of the greatest improvements to our world, and is absolutely essential to building vibrant, healthy, and prosperous societies and communities. Progress towards gender equality is crucial to reaching the poverty and hunger reduction targets of the global goals. The global goals promise a healthy, not hungry, equitable world by 2030. And one person who has truly contributed to reaching this ambitious goal is Bernard Coulibaly. Bernard Coulibaly is Deputy Prefect in Yorosua, southern Mali, and has worked tirelessly to reduce child malnutrition in this region, where levels were once critical. Please give a big hand and a warm welcome to Bernard Coulibaly. Merci Bernard pour tout votre travail.
Mesdames et Messieurs,
Ladies and gentlemen,
c'est une immense joie et un grand honneur pour moi
it's an honor and a great joy for me
d'être là aujourd'hui
to be here today
pour recevoir le Healthy Not Hungry Award
to receive this award
au nom de toute ma communauté de Yoroso.
on behalf of my entire community in Yoroso.
Au Mali,
In Mali,
la malnutrition affecte plus d'un enfant sur 4.
1 out of 4 children suffers from malnutrition,
compromettant du coup
thus compromising
le développement du pays.
the development of the country.
Malheureusement,
Unfortunately,
c'est un fléau dont on ne parle toujours pas assez.
it's a problem that does not get nearly enough attention.
Seulement en 2 ans,
In just 2 years,
à Euroso,
in Euroso,
nous avons pu réduire presque de moitié
we have been able to reduce by half
le retard de croissance et la
Stunting.
malnutrition aiguë sévère.
and severe acute malnutrition.
Ceci a été possible
It has been done
en impliquant plusieurs secteurs,
by bringing different sectors together,
en impliquant aussi les communautés,
by involving the communities,
en mettant la mère et l'enfant au cœur du système,
placing mothers and children at the heart of the system,
avec l'appui des agents de santé communautaire
with the support of community health workers
et en responsabilisant les leaders locaux.
and local leaders.
En tant que responsable local,
As a local official,
mon devoir est de protéger mes populations du fléau de la malnutrition.
my duty is to protect my people from the scourge of malnutrition.
Et si je ne le faisais pas,
And if I don't do it,
qui le ferait?
who else would?
Ils sont à plus de 7000 km d'ici,
They live more than 4,500 miles from here,
très loin de cette réalité dans les villages du Mali.
very far from this reality in villages in Mali.
Je voudrais du fond du cœur leur dire merci.
I would like to thank them from the bottom of my heart.
Je remercie surtout les femmes maliennes,
I am particularly grateful to Malian women,
non seulement les mères exemplaires
not only role model mothers
qui ont joué un rôle clé de conseil,
who played a key role in counseling,
d'éducation et de soutien,
education and support,
mais aussi toutes celles
but also all women
qui ont participé aux séances de sensibilisation.
who attended awareness sessions.
Sans leur engagement
Without their commitment
et leur active participation,
and their active participation,
nous n'aurons jamais réussi à réduire la malnutrition.
we will never have been able to reduce malnutrition.
Je remercie également l'Union européenne,
I also thank the European Union,
l'UNICEF
UNICEF,
et le gouvernement de la République du Mali
and the government of Mali
pour leur soutien,
for their support,
de même que les Global Goals Awards
as well as the Global Goal Awards,
pour la reconnaissance de nos efforts
for this recognition of our efforts
pour améliorer la santé et la nutrition au Mali.
to improve health and nutrition in Mali.
Vaincre la malnutrition, c'est possible.
Winning the fight against malnutrition is possible.
Je vous remercie.
Thank you.
Goalkeepers, please welcome to the stage, Will.i.am.
The Young Leader Award is given to a young individual at the grassroots level whose extraordinary efforts are contributing to peace and also bringing young people together. Our honoree in this category has an incredible story of survival. Most people who have gone through ordeals she has been through would have either given up or she decided to keep going and not take the low profile. So I salute you, Laura. Instead, she has done the opposite and has dedicated her life to helping those that once held her back. Every kid faces challenges and has gone through experiences while growing up. Challenges present two options: shrink and hide, or use a tough situation as motivation to go forward and fix things that aren't right. I was raised in the housing projects of East Los Angeles, where there were plenty of challenges, including gangs, drugs, and plaguing our community with things that would just bring us down as people. Music became my passion and my path out of the hood. Meeting Lauda tonight and talking to her about her journey has been so inspirational to me, So whether you're from Cali, Colombia, or Cali, East LA, global goals that we celebrate here tonight are universal. When bad things happen, we ask ourselves, where is the love? Well, the love is right here with Lauda, who found her inner strength and is using it to bring people together. She is a great example of a young leader who has harnessed her determination to drive change for good. Please welcome the winner of the Young Goalkeeper Award, Lauda Ujua.
Good evening, and thank you UNICEF and to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for supporting and empowering young people, especially girls and women, in our efforts for making this world a better place for the coming generations. At the age of 9 years old, I was kidnapped together with my mother, my little sister, and 200 other people while attending church in Cali, Colombia. That day we were released, but others remained captive for a long time. 2 years later, I was the sole hostage when the FARC guerrilla hijacked my school bus. 7 months later, I returned back home. Despite living this ordeal, I have dedicated my life to helping former guerrillas reintegrate into society. Tomorrow marks 16 years since my second abduction, and today I stand before you honored and humbled by the recognition bestowed upon me. But I received this award not as Laura Ulloa, but on behalf of the millions of victims 50 years of war has left in Colombia. I am here representing those Colombians who, despite their suffering, were able to move on and build a better life, a better future for themselves, their families, and their communities. Those who bet on forgiveness and reconciliation, those who are today building peace in Colombia. As a goalkeeper and as a survivor, I celebrate life and reject death. I will keep on trying to open people's heart to forgiveness and reconciliation so we can recover our confidence in each other and the solidarity among us to make it easier for peace to settle. I want to strengthen the role of education in guiding our youth towards a brighter future. I want to eliminate the notion that joining a guerrilla movement is a career path. I want our children to reach for the stars, not for weapons. I will keep telling my story and trying to steer the conversation towards peace, not war. I will not stop until I feel I have left behind a country better off than how I found it. And although I am optimistic about peace, one person alone cannot move mountains, so I ask for your help tonight. Don't let us lose momentum in this difficult and long journey towards peace. Thank you very much.
Goalkeepers, welcome to the stage, Priyanka Chopra.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is so incredible to see such an august crowd of amazing people that have come together to make sure that we meet these goals. Before I start, I want to explain to you what the Leadership Awards mean today. The Leadership Award honors an individual who has made extraordinary efforts to lead a campaign, a group, or a movement which has served to protect and better the lives of women and girls. This individual will have created a sustainable organization and will have garnered significant support and backing to maintain these efforts and the growth of the organization and the campaign. But I am extremely privileged to stand here today to introduce this incredible girl that has taken her spirit, her courage, and been brave enough to tell stories about women forgotten. I want to have the honor and the privilege to call upon today Rhea Sharma from my very own India to tell her story.
Good evening, everyone. I am so honored to be here today, and this award is most humbling and helps me believe that I am on the right path. I want to thank the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, UNICEF, and the amazing Priyanka Chopra that proves day in and day out that every girl from my country can be whoever she chooses to be. While making a documentary on acid attack survivors during university, I realized that a film would bring no concrete and immediate help on the ground in order to save lives. So I decided to abandon the idea and open up a holistic organization instead called Make Love Not Scars. At the time, I was 21 with no prior knowledge in this field. I was faced with ageism and sexism because I was a woman trying to help other women that were a product of a male-dominated society. From setting up the organization, gathering funds, creating and establishing the first of its kind rehabilitation center in the world, and impacting the lives of over 60 acid attack survivors, I have realized that change is a gradual process. The ones that truly believe change is possible do not give up on it, and hence, in the long run, believe that progress is possible. Progress is that one life you save. Progress is that one girl you talked out of suicide. Progress is that one individual who eventually believes that her worth is more than her appearance. I am up against hundreds of years of oppression and a mindset that is derived from years of culture that believes that the life of a woman is replaceable. I cannot expect to change this overnight, but what I can do is truly believe through my work and that of others that one day things will be different. I am hoping that this global platform will help me shed light on the atrocities that the women in my country are faced with. I am hoping that my government is listening to me right now and that they are with me when I say we need proper implementation of our laws. I am hoping that you all are with me when I demand justice, adequate health care, rehabilitation, compensation, and a better tomorrow. I hope you all have a wonderful evening, and I'm absolutely honored to be in your presence. Thank you.
Well, I'm back. I'm going to take 5 or 6 minutes of your time to just speak a little bit about the work that I have had the privilege of doing with UNICEF. I'm going to say a few names of some incredible girls that I met. You may not know them, but I do. Omaima, Holika, Neetu, Bharti, Tendai, Tendiva, Nyasha, Mashava, Iman, Seba, Shaima, Haneen, Maria, Wafa, Maram. Now, these are not just names in my posts on Instagram or Twitter or newsmakers in my travels through India, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Jordan. These are girls that live with me, that always will. as do all of the children that I have met in my 11 years of work with UNICEF. As a Goodwill Ambassador for UNICEF, along with my other colleagues, what is our job? What does a public person like me actually do? Well, we use our voices and our platform by bringing light and attention to these children that may be forgotten, so that the world sits up and takes notice. We use every opportunity and every platform that we have been given to show these children that the world has not forgotten about them, that we, all of you sitting here, care. With UNICEF, I have traveled throughout all of these places thinking that I'm going to be giving back to these kids, you know, these young ones. I'm going to be giving them inspiration, hope, or something. But at the end of it, I was the one who did all the receiving, material or non-material. So this is a diamond ring that was given to me by a girl called Umayma in Jordan at the Zatari camp that Mazoom was just talking about. This is a bracelet that was given to me in Jordan, and Her Majesty sitting right here, Queen Rania of Jordan, who I happened to meet while I was in Amman, Seba gave this to me. And these are like 2 or 3 of the precious possessions that these girls might have, right? They don't have too many worldly possessions, but they took this off of their hands and they gave it to me. Why? She had only, both of them actually had only one request: do not forget me. And these girls looking into my eyes, not crying, not upset, just greeting me and saying, do not forget me. In fact, every image that I took away was a smile, was a happy handshake, a laugh, a hug, and an occasional Bollywood dance step, of course, because, you know, I come with that territory. You gotta do it somewhere, especially in Zatari. But I saw hope everywhere that I went. I expected despair, and I saw hope. I saw smiles where I should have seen tears. I saw joy where rightfully there should have been just sadness. I saw a determination to constantly better their lives, to empower themselves with skill sets. The long years of war, abuse, rapes that these girls have suffered did not break them. It left deep scars, definitely, but it did not define them or stop themselves from rebuilding themselves. And this is all I want to share with you, is what I took back. My takeaway from all my years of trips with UNICEF in 12 years around the world has been hope. The ability to make a rainbow within gloom, to constantly work towards building a better future. We, all of us sitting in this room, and we can acknowledge that ourselves, we live in an extremely privileged world. And it is our responsibility as privileged society to give back, because we have. We owe them, and by them I mean these kids, our support in building their future, because we can, because we have. These children are our future. We all know that. But they are not just the future of a single continent, whether it's Asia, whether it's Africa, whether it is Europe. These kids are the future of our world. We tend to forget we only have one. And these are the kids that are going to be the generation that take us forward. So now, what is our role going to be? It is to ceaselessly work towards empowering, educating, and creating opportunities, empowering them with skill sets where we can be catalysts of change, and they can be catalysts of change within their societies, to help them build their own world. If possible, a safe one. If possible, a world where their dreams can become a reality. War is not an option. And if we want to build a safe world for our children, because it is them eventually who suffer the result of conflict which has been decided by adults, they are our responsibility. Yet these children dare to dream, have hope, no matter what their circumstances is, and that is truly a miracle of God. What I also know is the impact of the global goals on every girl, every child, everywhere is going to be tremendous. I have seen a girl called Sadhana, 15 years old, in a village in India, learn tailoring for survival, and then imparting that skill to a larger set of girls, therefore economically empowering numbers of women around themselves in villages in rural India. Self-efficiency works towards achieving many, many goals, be it alleviating poverty or giving much needed dignity to women, which we all know women need. This will, this determination is the unifying factor for women all over the world. Why is it more important for us to focus on girl children over the boys? Because, did you know that girls are affected by conflict 2.5 times more likely than boys? They are pulled out of school more likely than boys? Equality begins here. We need to understand the whys and address them, hold their hands and tell them, let them tell their stories, change their ends to happily ever afters, for which every girl needs to be given the same opportunity as the boys. I have been witness to their ambition, to their grit, to their determinations, which is why we just have to be a helping hand, and the rest they will manage. Your investment today is money, is time, is ideas, is whatever you want to give. In return, they will build a working world. Yes, the scale is large. In fact, there is an urgent need to gather all the data regarding all the girls. This is being addressed to by our tireless volunteers, but until then, we should not give up. Once their stories are in, join me in listening to them. And just like they did for me, they will change something in you forever. Thank you for giving me your time, and I'm going to conclude just with a saying that I heard since I was a child. My parents were extremely progressive, did not differentiate between my brother and me. Mahatma Gandhi said once, if we are to teach real peace in this world, and if we are to carry on a real war against war, we have to begin with the children. And with this thought, I would like to show you a special film that we are launching publicly on the Day of the Girl, October 11th, on Google's homepage to celebrate the rights of female children everywhere. Thank you.
MJ Delaney, who made that film, I think is here. I wonder if we can... And thanks to all those remarkable young women. It's been an extraordinary evening for showing how people who have no power can grab power and change the world around them. But it is also immensely important, and I say that to immensely important people in this room, that people who have power use that power to fight for the goals. To introduce our next award is the chairman of Unilever, Paul Polman, who has wrenched the business world into fighting for the goals, used his company as an absolute beacon of commitment to development and sustainability. And I would recommend that all of you who are in positions of power follow his determination, compassion, and risk. Paul Polman.
Well, good evening, everybody, and thank you, Richard. First of all, my great congratulations to all of the winners of tonight's Global Goal Award. It is very clear that from the presentations that we've seen already, that they're an inspiration to us all. And it's truly admirable how they dedicate, even at that young age already, their lives to make a positive difference and obviously inspire others to do the same. I certainly applaud their commitments, and I'm honored to share this evening with you. We all have a common vision, a common dream, and a common ambition: to create a different kind of world by 2030, a world with no poverty, no inequality, no suffering. And equality for men and women is a prerequisite, just as much as it is an outcome if we want to achieve this world for all of us. Gender equality is actually one of the most powerful enablers for economic growth as well as human development. When we empower women, society and the economy benefits, grows, and thrives. We need to give them the tools to grow their own businesses, which in turn help them to grow again as well. So every woman can create the kind of life that we wish everybody to have, giving them the right skills, rights, and opportunities. Now, the winner of tonight's Innovation Award has truly captivated this spirit in her work. She's an exceptional leader with a strong vision on how to empower women. She has overcome enormous barriers, teaching herself to read and write as of the age of 16, speaks 7 languages, has learned decoding in about 2 years' time, grew up in Senegal. She's a pioneer by founding I Am the Code, a movement that teaches over 1 million women, that is the number, over 1 million women and girls to code by 2030. She, in my opinion, is a true goalkeeper. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our Innovation Award winner, Mariam Jameh.
Viola Davis at the Oscars. God, I came so far. Oh dear. Thank you, Paul. You're one of my heroes. I love your work and the way you're empowering women around the world. Thank you, UNICEF, for awarding me this award. It's really amazing. It's not for me, it's just for all the girls around Senegal, Burkina Faso, Kinshasa, Argentina, and China. Thank you, Melinda Gates, for all the work you do around STEM education around the world. Thank you, Amina Mohammed, my hero. Thank you, Will.i.am, my hero. Thank you so much, all of you. Thank you, my friend that supported me all these years in hard and good times. Thank you, my mentors and my supporters. Thank you to Richard and Kate Garvey that are making the global goals so famous. Kate Garvey is one of my heroes. She's my very good friend, a young global leader from the World Economic Forum. Thank you, Kate, for everything you're doing for all of us. Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, today marks another beginning in my life, and I'm certain it's not going to be the same again. My heart is full of gratitude for all of you. In 1970s, 1980s, I would never believe that I would be here standing next to you and receiving this award. Again, thank you, UNICEF, for doing this for me. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable guests, I stand here as a testimony to the fact that being poor, being uneducated, being marginalized, neglected, and trafficked as a young girl should not be a barrier to fulfillment and purposeful to successful life. Learning how to code unlocked that for me. I'm Senegalese, British, a mother, a coder, an entrepreneur, a transformer, and today a goalkeeper. When I arrived in the UK, I started out doing cleaning jobs, working in hotels and bars. I couldn't speak English. I working for elderly people. I remember working in the southeast of England, in Surrey, in Guildford. I was the only black woman on the street. But what I did realize, I didn't have any skills. I learned how to code in my back kitchen, at my local Starbucks, and at my local library where I felt safe. And I learned how to code 7 languages in 2 years. What I did then, I sat at the library because I realized when I used to go to the Guildford College and asking them to give me a job. They said to me, you don't have any diploma, so we can't give any jobs. And I sat at the library, at the local library all the time learning, and I've got a photographic memory. I used to read and write all the time. And I said, okay, I'm gonna learn myself, I'm gonna learn how to code. Coding is a 21st century skills. And Will.i.am always talk about this. Young women need to learn how to code. I was chairing the Sustainable Development Goals in the last couple of days at the World Economic Forum where we talk about the future skills. We have so many young women today in refugee centers, in detention centers in Europe, in refugee camps in Kenya, or you name it. People that don't have any skills. Who's going to build our road tomorrow? Who's going to build our websites? Who's going to create our e-commerce sites? How are we going to forget these women and young girls growing up? What are we going to do? They're not going to end up like Mariam Jam. Today I'm privileged. I'm in the UK where I find safe haven. But these people don't have any haven. So if you want to make a difference in the life of these people, we need to start giving them skills, dignity, and pride. We also need to help them break the code in a digital world. I love technology. It gave me freedom. It made me relevant, employable. When most of my friends come from Harvard, Cambridge, Oxford, I had nothing on my name. But I'm passing this today to my mentees across the world. Aisha in Senegal, Feng Feng in China, Victoria in Argentina. Our movement, I Am the Code, has reached 7,000 people in under a year, from Uganda to China, including Japan. We're now in 50 countries. I'm going next week in Senegal to get the girls graduated. And then I'm going to go to Brazil to launch I Am the Code. We are going global, educating young girls, marginalized girls, people that we have forgotten because we have forgotten them. We have forgotten those girls, but I have not forgotten them. This award means so much to me because if you ask me in the 1980s, 1990s, I'm going to be sitting next to Amina Mohammed, sitting down next to Melinda Gates. Those were names I used to hear. Belinda Gates, I used to hear Kofi Annan. I used to hear names. I never knew that I would sit next to them today in 2017. I'm so committed to the global goals because I truly believe I can reach, teach, and enable 1 million women and girls coders by 2030. I know this. I know this. Ladies and gentlemen, I am tracking progress. I'm making sure government, the private sector, the philanthropic foundations, I'm tracking them. I'm making sure they're accountable. By 2030, they can show me what's happening with women and girls through data. Because you know what? I am data. I am data. I am absolute data. Of course, I cannot do this alone. No one can do this alone. We all need partnerships, more partnership, but above all, we need empathy, compassion, kindness, commitment, and support. That's the essence of the goal number 17. Let's achieve the global goals together, ladies and gentlemen. There are millions of forgotten girls around the world. They're watching us tonight because we are the privileged people. We are the people with money. We are the people with connections. We are the people with power. I know this because I was one of them. I was growing up in Senegal, in Kaolack, in villages, in orphanages, where I have no one saying, Mariam, are you okay? Today, I am okay. I'm using my influence, my power as a woman in tech to go and teach girls how to code. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, before I go, I would like to tell you that those girls, each of them, Aisha needed a chance in life. She needed an opportunity, a dream, a knowledge that everything will be okay. In this 2017, as Richard just said earlier, no girl or boy should be left behind. Not in our lifetime, not under our watch. To me, that's the essence of the global goals. I'm a goalkeeper. I'm going to keep keeping the goals. And I'm going to be accountable to you. I'm going to come back next year and tell you what my girls are doing. How many languages they've coded? Have they coded HTML? Have they coded Python? Have they coded Ruby? What can they do? Have they learned mathematics and science? I'm going to come back and tell you what my girls have done in Senegal, in Uganda, in Kinshasa, in Buenos Aires. To me, that's what the global goals are. Thank you so much for having me here. This is an amazing honor for me, and this is for my girls. Thank you.
Goalkeepers, please welcome to the stage Nikolaj Coster-Waldau.
Hello? The Leave No One Behind award is given to an activist who's advancing the global goals through extraordinary efforts to help the most vulnerable children and families, no matter where they are. Through his determination and persistence, tonight's recipient has led a project that has so far saved thousands of lives in rural Tanzania. Rather than accepting the circumstances, he's fighting to change them. And it's working. As a United Nations Development Program Goodwill Ambassador, it is my job to shine a spotlight on the importance of leaving no one behind. The UNDP empowers some of the most vulnerable people around the world to take charge of their lives and make a difference in their communities, like in Afghanistan, which has one of the highest maternal and child mortality rates in the world, and where a lack of health facilities in rural areas means that many women don't receive the health care they desperately need. Now, the UNDP are helping 200 classmates to graduate from nursing school this year who will then go to work in some of the poorest villages in their home province to help others. I am proud to be a UNDP ambassador, and I'm proud to say that my 2 daughters are here tonight to celebrate these incredible people. It's an absolute privilege. Now, of course, the biggest privilege is for me now to introduce this year's recipient of the Leave No One Behind Award, and it goes to Felix Gaudi.
Invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Believe me, it's a very proud recipient who is standing here before you. I am greatly humbled and deeply honored to receive the Leave No One Behind Award. First of all, I would like to thank God, my mom, my family, my university Kuhasi Bugando, fellow medical students, and friends, and a very special thanks to Save the Children for nominating me. I would also like to give my sincerest gratitude to UNICEF, Project Level 1, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and the SDG advocates for giving me this incredible honor. My acceptance and receipt of this award would not be complete without letting you hear a bit of my work in Tanzania. In 2013, I lost my aunt in Kigoma village while giving birth at home due to prolonged labor and excessive bleeding. I believe my aunt's death could be preventable if she could have attended antenatal clinics and have access to basic and emergency obstetric care during delivery. When I joined the Kuhasi School of Medicine, during my field works, I witnessed the high number of maternal and child mortality rates in rural areas. I was really disappointed because I realized that these death statistics were not just numbers, were real people. And this was not the generation I wanted for my country and the world at all. I decided to found Mama Afya, an initiative that works to provide free door-to-door antenatal health services to rural women in Tanzania. In this line, we want to see women in Tanzania and across Africa connected to life savings information and intervention, irrespective of their location. With the project, we have been able to save the lives of 4,000 mothers and newborns. Ladies and gentlemen, I dedicate this award to millions of young people in Tanzania and global who are tirelessly working hard in various fields in supporting and improving the maternal and child health. As I accept this award, I kindly send you all here a warm invitation to join me in supporting and improving maternal and child health, ensuring that we leave no one behind in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, and it's possible. Thank you very much.
Especially if I could come back on to introduce our next speaker. She has been one of the most determined advocates and fighters for the goals, and last Monday she only went and won a general election in Norway, and so she is Prime Minister for the next 4 years in order to make Norway the greatest and most determined country in the fight for these goals. Prime Minister Erna Solberg.
Thank you very much, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to start by thanking our hosts and their partners for making this important event possible. Tonight, the spotlight is on the global goals, and on a number of outstanding role models. The global goals adopted by world leaders 2 years ago are changing the world and the way we are understanding global politics. The 17 goals have put development issues right on the heart of high politics for the first time in history. These goals are now the main track for addressing the precious and pressing issues of our time. And whether or not all the political leaders understood this is only by the working to achieve the global goals that we can find sustainable solutions to problems like conflict, terrorism, forced migration, youth employment, all of those issues we as politicians are discussing every day. This is the path for the world's future. And the global goals can also be powerful tools for all of those seeking to hold political leaders accountable. And you should keep us accountable for what we are doing. And I'm delighted that President of Liberia, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, is here tonight. She is the first democratic elected female president in Africa. She is a Nobel Peace Prize laureate. And the first time I met her was in 2012, before I became Prime Minister. I visited Liberia together with representatives of the Norwegian Refugee Council. President Sirleaf was hard-working, rebuilding Liberia after years of civil war. And I was impressed by what I was seeing them doing. But despite the challenges her country was facing at that time, over 160,000 people who had fled civil war in the Ivory Coast were registered as refugees in Liberia under President Sirleaf's watch and were helped to maintain their living and possibilities for the future. And I would also like to highlight the strong leadership she showed during and after the Ebola outbreak. I really understood that this was a lonely political leadership. When my Minister of Foreign Affairs came back to Norway and said, because he had gone to Liberia together with the Brits, and said that they have told that there had been no political leaders visiting Liberia for months because of the fear of the outbreak. It was the first time they had met political leaders from other countries. But the achievements made during the Ebola outbreak made it possible for systematic analysis to be carried out, which in turn led to initiatives like CEPI, the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovation, thus helping to strengthen our global epidemic response in the future. And I am thrilled to have Ellen Johnson Sirleaf on the board as a champion of CEPI in the future, because we need people who really know what it means to lead a country through some of the worst experiences you can have. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think you all have realized by now that President Sirleaf is a woman of action, someone who recognized the importance of results, and it's a great pleasure for me that I present the Goalkeeper Award to President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Thank you very much.
Good evening, thank you. I wish to congratulate all the Goalkeeper awardees to say how their achievement is so inspirational. I accept this award on behalf of the Liberian people who have given me the opportunity to lead the effort for the rebuilding of a destroyed nation. When we embarked in 2006 on the rebuilding, the reconstruction of our country, the challenges were indeed awesome. Just think, no lights in the capital city for over 2 decades, broken roads, bridges, schools, clinics, hospitals, water, young children afraid. For too long, they had heard guns that made them run. The women struggling to put food on the table, struggling to ensure that whatever education existed, they would have an opportunity, the means to send those kids to school. Youth of our country having been bypassed by an education and skills because of 2 decades of conflict. Surely, where do you start? How do you move? But we were able to bring hope, to say people can take control of their own lives. And so we mobilized our people with great resilience, great commitment, great dedication to empower themselves, to take support from others, which indeed was quite needed and quite useful and quite effective, but to also get on with the job themselves. Today, we've come a long way. We've done a lot of the restoration. We've laid the foundation for growth. And in fact, we're doing quite well until we hit that deadly disease. And all the gains we had made by the end of 2013 had all disappeared. Not in terms of the physical infrastructure, that's still there, that's still being improved, but the hope, the growth, the commitment, because here we were facing an enemy that they did not know, they could not hear, they could not see. That was the greatest challenge we faced. Our first reaction in the midst of doctors dying, nurses dying, people dying by the hundreds every day, was to start a process of restrainment to ensure that we kept people from moving around. That did not work. And we then realized that the best way to solve a problem is to put the problem in the hands of the people themselves. And so we mobilized our communities that took charge. They became the first responders, the one to give advance notice of a sick condition, the one to move from home to home, from area to area, from community to community, passing words, putting the guards, starting the process. And I took upon the task of trying to revive the hope to combat the fears of our healthcare workers by going into the clinics and hospitals myself in the rural areas and all over the country, sitting with them, because people were dying not only from the disease, but dying from fear of going for help to a clinic, for fear that they would get contaminated from that. But together we were able, with the resilience and the commitment of our people, to beat the prediction that said 1 million of our people would die within a period of a year. We did have a lot of deaths, over 4,000 of them. But we can say that, thank God, we were able to effectively act, to effectively combat that disease. And I think I owe a lot to the Liberian women. If there's anything that inspired whatever we've been able to do, was to say, what do we do about women, the ones that really hold the nation up, the ones that provide the basic sustenance of life for the nation. Women who needed a better place to work, more comfort. Women who did not have an education but were so willing to go to literacy classes after sitting in a market all day. Women who learned to read and write for the first time in their lives. Today, as we move forward to the transition, a political transition, having served the country for over 11 years and will be turning over in January of next year, I applaud our women who really stood the test of time. Today, as we move forward, all eagerly awaiting this transition that has not taken place in our country for some 70 years, the more enthusiastic are the women. And for the first time, we have 164 women competing for positions in the parliament, a first in our country. We owe it all to our people, to our citizens, and we owe it all to you, our friends. The many of you in this room whom we know personally or got to know through your work, through your operations, through your support, your consideration, your encouragement, and your advocacy. Because of that, we've been able to come a long way. And Liberia can say with great confidence and great pride that the past is behind us, that we can now move forward and claim our rightful place in the Committee of Nations. Thank you all for being there with us. Thank you all. And thank you for this award, which gets a major place in my memoirs and in my library. Thank you so much.
Many of you may be thinking to yourself, what does a goalkeeper look like? And I think we've seen that they're young, they're old, they are men, they are women. And I would say to you all, when you get home tonight, look in the mirror, and I think you'll see a goalkeeper. And I hope that all of you will do all you can to work to change the world in the way that we believe, with the optimism and strength of tonight's award winners, can be done by 2030. I'd now like to introduce to you an extraordinary woman who is a great English singer-songwriter and also a great British citizen who is an outspoken and impatient spokesperson for those people who are not paid attention to and who are ignored. So the great human and a great singer-songwriter, Lily Allen.
Whew. Hello, everybody. Have you had a good evening so far? I don't know if this is quite the right environment to showcase new material, but this song seemed apt somehow, so here it goes. You say you're going, but you don't say how long for. You say it's work, but I'm not sure. You say you love me, then you walk right out the door. I'm left here wanting more. Of course, there's lots of things I could be getting on with. I'm never sure of things to do. This afternoon I made a papier-mâché fish, Mom. I made it just for you. Please don't go. Stay here with me. It's not my fault. I'm only 3. 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 My social calendar is busier than yours. I've been out making lots of friends. You can't play with us 'cause you're always off on tour. One day I hope you'll meet them. Please don't go. Stay here with me. It's not my fault. I'm only 3. 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 When things feel black and white, we'll do some coloring in. When you want to play, when you want to play with me. When things feel black and white, we'll do some coloring in. When you want to play, when you want to play with me. Please don't go. Stay here with me. It's not my fault. I'm only 3. 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 Thank you very much. I had prepared 2 different covers actually to do for this event, and I don't know, I think in light of the President's speech at the UN this afternoon, I've decided on this next one. I'm going to a town that has already been burnt down. I'm going to a place that has already been disgraced. I'm gonna make it up for all of the Sunday times. I'm gonna make it up for all of the nursery rhymes. They never really seem to want to tell the truth. I'm so tired of you, America. Making my own way home. Ain't gonna be alone. I've got a life to live. America, I've got a life to live. Tell me, do you really think you'd go to hell for having loved? Tell me, enough of thinking everything that you've done is good. I really need to know, after soaking the body of Jesus Christ in blood. I'm so tired of America. I really need to know. Well, I may just never see you again, or I might as well. You took advantage of a world that loved you well. I'm going to a town that has already been burnt down. I'm so tired of you, America. Making my own way home. Ain't gonna be alone. I've got a life to live. America, I've got a life to live. I've got a soul to feed. I've got a dream to heed, and that's all I need. Making my own way home. Ain't gonna be alone. I'm going to a town that has already been burned down. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for supporting our extraordinary winners. There's actually another booking coming in after us, so have a quick drink, and a anonymous billionaire from somewhere else in some other city is apparently going to take over. Thank you very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Good night.